Heroes come in all sizes, even from the FCS level. We got some top players coming back. Some really good news came over the last couple of days. Let's discuss those guys coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Jay, the Oklahoma Sooners got some more good news over the holiday.
They did. It appears that some players have already decided they're going to make their valiant return, and somebody jumped the gun in sending out the message. I was actually looking it up yesterday. First off, Merry Christmas to you all. Hopefully you had a great Christmas yesterday. Was hoping to get an episode up, but both me and John had some fun with the kiddos, so we didn't get a chance to really sit down until, toy assembly always kicks your butt around this time of the season, especially with lower back pain. I'll tell you that part. But when it comes to this news, I was doing some digging on it or whatnot, and I saw somebody post on X about it, kind of pointing out that, usually when it comes to the One Oklahoma collective, for the marketing purposes, you want to spread out announcements. You don't want to do them all at one time. And unfortunately, some marketing person got a little bit excited and tossed two out. Now, one of them got deleted. You saw Kip Lewis. It looks like job's not done, so the anticipation he'll be back. We expected that. I didn't see Kip getting anything better than a day 3 grade right now. He may be really late day 2, but I think day 3 was probably the grade he's going to get today. So we expect him to command the defense and move himself into an early day 2 pick. But the one that jumped out to everybody was R. Mason Thomas, and it said that I'm coming back. See you next season. That's what it said. It said, see you next season, John. And so when I saw that, I'm like, okay, so Brent Venables out here, he cooking with grease. That's why you don't see us going after a whole bunch of these high guys. We went after some top players in the portal. They just ended up being in our own home. We kept people around. Because there's been nothing but rumors, John, floating around that R. Mason Thomas has been getting poked at by everybody with the tampering bug. They're like, hey, big head, you doing all right? You like football? I see you're good at it. We would love to pull you over and pay you a lot of money. Him and a few other players on the roster, and it looks like he's going to make the decision, because it hasn't officially been made yet, that he's going to make his valiant return next year and terrorize the SEC one more time.
And that's huge news, because you get a guy back with 9 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, and I think has more in the tank. I mean, I think he's an ascending player, somebody who I thought played the run really, really well. I mean, that's the stuff that always doesn't always show up on the stat sheet, but he did a really good job playing the run. He was part of that defensive end duo with Ethan Downs that made them so good against the run. It's why teams had such a hard time running on the Oklahoma Sooners all season long. So you get R. Mason Thomas back, and that allows you to have a little bit of a competition out there at the other defensive end spot between Danny Okoye and Adepoju Adebaware and Nigel Smith and Alexander Shield Knight and Taylor Wayne. Like, you can use that other spot to develop guy and let competition see who's going to take a job or have a little bit of a rotation. Or if you like a guy that's still on a playoff team and you're thinking you might try to make a run at them if they hit the portal, then you've got some room to add. But having a bona fide pass rusher back on one side of your defensive line is going to be huge. If you can get another one of those, whether it's a guy that's in-house that you like their trajectory, that's going to be even better for Oklahoma. So you're not having to replace 2 defensive end spots. You're only replacing 1, and your defensive line is going to be very much intact going forward. Obviously, the loss of Ethan Downs, I think it moves the needle more than people want to admit. But having R. Mason Thomas comes back, it lessens the blow quite a bit. And I think his story is one that's going to end at Oklahoma. It's not going to end up at another collegiate, school, because he was going to go to Iowa State, and Miguel Chavis came calling, right? Part of that 2022 recruiting class. After Miguel Chavis got to Oklahoma, he and Brent Venables came calling, got him to flip his commitment to come to Oklahoma. And I think this is a dude that, again, the patience, the perseverance, battling through all the injuries over the first 2 years to where he could finally stay healthy and then see that, rocket strapped to his back and then just emerge to be a star for the Sooners. And he's got a chance to be a top 15 pick in the 2026 NFL draft if he has another season like he just did this year.
Yeah, he has a very good chance, at least at minimum, very, very, very high day 2 pick, because the only thing that's kind of against R. Mason Thomas, it probably holds him back with his draft status, his draft pick area, is because of his height. He's only 6'2", and you're usually seeing guys in the 6'4", 6'5" range that have drafted really high at the edge spot. But his tenacity when it comes across going on the line and hitting dudes and causing a lot of problems, disruptiveness at the end of games, has really gotten the eye of the NFL evaluators. They're like, yeah, we like to think this guy can make it work in the NFL. He gets low enough. He doesn't pull the Dylan Stewart stuff where he drops basically to his knees and comes right back up and plows somebody, but he does a really good job of getting around those tackles and making those hits. So having R. Mason Thomas back, you made a great point there, John, that now you have a competition on the opposite side between a Danny Okoye, a PJ Adebaware, kind of really duking out to who's going to really take over that other edge spot. Or, to be absolutely honest, it makes it easier for you to have a rotation with R. Mason and those young guys. Toss in maybe a Nigel Smith unless he decides to move into a 3 technique. Or you got Wyatt Gilmore, Taylor Wine. You've got multiple options of young players that got some run, and you got to see them be disruptive. But he also keeps you with a veteran that can help teach and get players to understand how to set that edge properly, as well as how to get around some of these tackles in the SEC and get some hits. It's going to be fun seeing him go through next season because I'm really excited to see him in that Michigan game.
It's going to be fun to see how this defensive end group continues to develop because they've gotten better. Each year under Brent Venables, it's gotten better and better and better, and it's going to continue to get better. On Kip Lewis, I'm excited for his return. I knew he was going to be back just because I felt like he's a Brent Venables guy. This is another one of those dudes that is just emerging as a linebacker under Brent Venables. Undersized, it hasn't stopped him. It doesn't matter that he's, probably going to be somebody that ends up as a box safety at the NFL level. It hasn't slowed him down from being an incredibly disruptive player and that just makes big plays. And having him back to go along with Kobe McKenzie and Lewis Carter and Samuel Omasigo and Jaron Kannick, it provides a lot of experience because at this point, he's probably your most experienced linebacker in the room.
Yeah.
I think that's huge, man. If they can continue to develop and he can continue to develop in this next offseason, he'll grow a little bit more. He'll get a little bit stronger, add more size to him while keeping his functional speed and agility and quickness up. It's going to make the linebacker room. It's going to lessen the blow of Danny Stutzman's departure too, because losing Danny Stutzman, that's going to be a big loss, especially from a leadership perspective. If Kip Lewis can step into that leadership void and help fill it, but also continue to provide that production and step into a more full-time role, I think Oklahoma's defense is going to have a chance to continue to get better and better.
Yeah, it's not as easy as people think when it comes to putting on weight on your frame. Yeah, you can do it probably fairly quickly, but you're not going to do it in a very efficient.
I just did it over the last 24 hours, man. Put on so much weight.
Ooh, boy, the weight that I put on. Wait. Recording this morning was a little tough with all the weight that I added, but it takes time for you to be able to do it where it's effective and it's efficient. So for me, I'm going to have to go hit this treadmill once we get everything done for the day to try to burn some of that down properly to where it's actually used right, because I stuffed as much as I possibly could into my system, but I digress. When it comes to a player like Kip Lewis, and as he's adding that muscle, you said it perfectly. He needs to be able to add size while also not hindering his speed, agility, and movement. And he's doing that. He's compounding it year over year. And that's kind of how the body works when it comes to exercise. If you do it in a slow, methodical way, it doesn't affect a lot of other things around you. And so for Kip, being able to maintain his speed, maintain his lateral movement, and be able to be disruptive at linebacker, adding that weight and those proper intervals, he's going to do nothing but excel at the spot. So you got him and Kobe McKenzie running that defense. Boy, it's going to be fun seeing those dudes just own it going into next season, and then having the young pups right behind them ready to jump in there and play.
Yeah, we know that the linebacker group is going to continue to get better. It's going to continue to develop, and they're going to have a chance to shine out from the shadow of Danny Stutzman as he departs for the NFL. What's left for Oklahoma to go get in the transfer portal? Let's discuss that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.